U.S. trade policy and tariff debate. Key takeaways. In a recent address, former President Donald Trump discussed trade policies and tariffs, emphasizing concerns about trade deficits and foreign economic practices. He pointed to Japan's tariffs on American imports and the U.S. government's historical approach to trade negotiations, suggesting that previous administrations had failed to secure fair agreements. Trump defended his administration's stance on tariffs, asserting that these measures were intended to protect American farmers, ranchers, and manufacturers. However, critics noted that while tariffs were imposed to safeguard domestic industries, they also resulted in federal aid programs to support farmers affected by retaliatory trade measures, particularly during trade tensions with China. Impact of the 25% auto tariff. A major point of discussion was the 25% tariff on imported cars and auto parts, set to take effect just after midnight. While the United Auto Workers (UAW) union supports these tariffs, arguing that they will bolster domestic production, economists and auto industry leaders warn that the measure could drive up vehicle prices and disrupt supply chains, potentially slowing U.S. auto manufacturing in the short term. Fact-checking Trump's claims. Fact-checkers from the New York Times pointed out that while Trump highlighted high tariffs imposed by other nations on U.S. products, he did not mention the tariffs the United States levies on certain foreign imports. Additionally, economists largely oppose broad tariffs, arguing that they tend to increase consumer prices and stoke inflation rather than achieve long-term economic benefits. The White House recently revisited the idea of providing federal assistance to industries impacted by trade policies. Observers are closely watching how international trading partners will react and whether countermeasures could follow. Historical context and economic outlook. The imposition of tariffs is historically contentious, with economists frequently citing the 1930 Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act as a cautionary tale. That legislation, implemented during the Great Depression, is widely believed to have worsened economic conditions by triggering global retaliatory tariffs. Unlike that historical precedent, Trump's tariffs are being enacted through executive authority rather than congressional action. While the administration claims these policies will strengthen American industry, many economists warn of their inflationary effects. Household expenses could rise, with food prices alone expected to increase by approximately 1.85%, disproportionately impacting lower-income families. Future implications. One key question remains: are these tariffs part of a broader negotiating strategy to secure more favorable trade agreements, or will they lead to prolonged trade disputes? Trump's economic team has aligned with his tariff-driven approach, despite many of them previously opposing such measures before joining his administration. Investors and industry leaders are now watching closely to assess how these policies will unfold in the coming months and whether they will ultimately help or hinder the U.S. economy. As the trade landscape evolves, the long-term effects of these tariffs, whether they lead to a resurgence in domestic manufacturing or unintended economic hardships,